on and you can hear yourself now, and I can post it to the old gentleman's club or whatever it's called. Yeah, I'm using the Yaesu Fox Tango 757 Golf X-Ray. I think it's running about 75 watts at the moment. Yeah. Well, actually, on a whistle, it's 100 watts. So, yeah, where I've got the microphone set at the moment and the audio settings are about 75 watts peak. If I shout a bit louder, it'll probably be more. And the antennas are 90-foot random long wire. So the usual setup, really, for when I'm on 40 metres. I did consider earlier going to use the IC7300 because there was a bit of noise on the band, but that's quietened down now. So back to you, G1HPD. Oh, by the way, you're 5 and 9 to me, 5 and 9 dead. But as I tell everyone, this radio, being as old as it is, the needle is a little bit on the stingy side by at least 2 S points. So I seem to always give 2 S points lower than I've given to the person calling in. So, you know, you can take it as what you want and as you will. But 5 and 9, I mean, what's 5 and 9 doesn't really matter. So long as I've got a readability 5, I'm always happy. Back to you, G1HPD M0JCF.
Okay, from Germany 1 Hotel Papa Delta. Okay, now things have warmed up now. The signal will probably be a bit stronger. But no, you're sort of plus 10, plus 20. Yeah, literally you're staying at that signal. You're not dropping down at all. You're constant. So, yeah, the audio's making it stay up. No problem at all there, Mark. Over to you from G1HPD.
Yeah, G1HPD M0JCF. Well, yeah, your rig's warmed up, and it's very, very true. You're now swinging between 5 and 9 and 5 and 9 plus 20. As I say, I'll take a little bit of a pinch of salt with this radio's needle. Even on transmit, you know, it doesn't matter whether I have the needle on ALC or power out. It whacks against the stop. I can set the ALC on a CW tone, and it's lovely, it's in the grey, but as soon as I start talking, it's all over the place. So I don't take any notice of that. And as I say, with the power out, it's reading about, you know, 120 plus watts. And but the external meter on the FC 757 AT, that's reading about 75. So it is what it is. But yeah, as I say, very nice to meet you, Tony. And yeah, I've just been playing about on 10 and 12 meters. On 10, it was a little bit on the quiet side, but I put some calls out, and I got a Russian station first. He was on the Black Sea coast, RN6CV. Then I got a Brazilian PY1 PDF. He was only a 3 and 1 to me though, and then bang, the QSB dropped him out. And then I got a Tango Alpha station. He was ending in Echo, so obviously that's Turkey, but I never got his full call sign. And I asked him to call in a second time, and the second time it was even worse. You know, I knew he was there, but couldn't actually get a call sign, and that was it. I never heard him anymore after that. So I went to 12 meters, put in a 10 minutes on 24.983, I think it was. Yeah, 983. And in 10 minutes never got anything back. So I swapped back to me chat, and I saw that you'd already suggested 7150. So I thought I'd come here, tune up, ask if the frequency was in use, and of course it wasn't, or it didn't appear to be. Having said that, 40 meters the last 3 or 4 days has been quite hit and miss. The noise level has actually been lower, but we've got 2 partial solar storms directed partially our way. That's what I meant to say. So we got 2 solar storms that went off about 36 hours ago, and so that's going to play a little bit of interference. And the predictions are for the next week, maybe even 2, as the sun rotates even more active regions our way. There's quite a few flares and filaments etc. going off on the sun, so we expect on and off black blackouts and more noise on the band. But no, it is what it is. But as I say, you're coming through to me absolutely clear. Just wondered what's the location you're in. So what's your geographical location, and what antenna are you using? I think I told you I'm using the 90-foot wire. Anyway, that was a bit of a long rambling over for you there, Tony. G1HPD M0JCF.
Okay, called G1HPD, and bear with me a moment. I'm down in Sussex, Worthing, Sussex. The antenna, this is a fan dipole, Resonant 80, 40 and sort of 20. The radio FT-757, we're running into a Challenger amplifier. That's what's got working conditions. And the microphone is an what is it? It's an M1, a Yaesu M1 microphone. Over to them up.
Yeah, okay, well I'm using the Handmaster 4200, an old CB radio desk microphone from the 1970s, and I remember back then in the late 70s when I was an AMer and a sidebander on 27 megs, 26 megs, they were very popular, and you got various brands. So you got the Handmaster 4200, you got the Leeson, I can't remember the number of that, and there was a few others. But they're all effectively the same amplified microphone. But you know, they perform very well. And I got this one a few years back from a very good friend, Silent Key. He was actually a G1 as well, Mal G1 November Oscar X-ray. He was big on his old-fashioned gear and nostalgia gear, and he was very big on 2 meters SSB as well. But anyway, when he passed away, there was a Silent Key sale, and he always used to bang on about this microphone. And what he banged on about mostly was the fact that it still had the little door that goes over the battery cover, little PP3 battery, and they all lose that dot. I don't know, there must be a secret place somewhere where all these little dot battery covers must all exist. They must all congregate. And do you know what, when I bought it, this one had the battery cover, and he was so proud of that. It had its battery cover, and do you know what, it ain't got a battery cover anymore, and I have no idea where it is. I don't ever remember back in the day the battery covers falling off my ones as much as, you know, like everyone now reports. So obviously something's going on, but I'm not going to worry about it. I just put a bit of tape over it. I mean, the cover will turn up at some point. It can't have gone far. I'm in my garage at the moment, and it's got to be here somewhere. But you know, if you was to see it, it's a nightmare. I'm a very untidy ham. I'm a proper ham, that's what I call it. Old gear, lots of test gear, lots of crap hanging around, lots of components and that. But I sort of pretty much know where most of it, if not all of it, is. I just don't always know where the bits that I want at that moment in time are. But they turn up eventually, normally when I don't need them. So that's the story there. Yeah, I know Worthing. I don't know it that well, but I know where you are, so I've got an idea now. We had an M7 come round my house yesterday, newly qualified M7. He's only had his licence a few weeks, and he's only really been active on 2 meters 70 sems, and he came round here. He was picking up a 4 meter antenna from me. So I invited him in and said, look, you know, like you start off with your little handheld, as you have done, and a few antennas. And I think he's bought an FTDX10, and he's bought another 2 meter 70 centimeter 6 meter, I don't know, it might be a tri-band, it might be a dual bander, but you know, it's got C4, is it CF4 or C4F or whatever that, you know, like the digital modes are. But anyway, he's bought this brand new gear. I'd say he's a brand new ham, and I said, you know, come and have a look at this. Do you know what, I've lost the thread of where I was going with this. I was like, I've absolutely lost the bloody thread of where I was going. I was going to tell you something, but I've gone, oh, he was a new M7. He came round my house. He came in here. Do you know what? I've totally lost what I was bloody telling you, Tony. Sorry about that. G1HPD M0JCF.
Oh, you I'm not that. I'm exactly the same, mate. What I'm saying? Yeah, no, it was you saying a new ham has come round in M7, and yeah, it's just about his radio, and you were showing him your equipment there. Oh, excellent. That's good. So I'm just looking up your QRZ. So is that your motorbike, is it then?
Not anymore. No, that was my drag bike. I bought the actual bike in 2008, the winter of 2008, to turn into a drag bike. One of my friends who lives up the road from me, he was drag racing. Now, I'd done drag racing in the past. I'd done a bit of road racing as well as speedway, etc. You know, I'd done a few of the disciplines, but drag racing I'd never got into at competition level. So, you know, we watched him race in 2008, and my wife said, oh, we're going to go and watch him at Easter next year. And I said, oh, well, do you know what? If I'm going to go and watch, I'd rather have a go. So I bought that bike as just a GSXR 1100L. And I raced it for 2009, and gradually over 2009 it changed, you know, lowered, lengthened and all the rest of it. Then in 2010 we got the turbocharger kit bolted to it. A friend of ours who lives in Rutland, you know, up in Leicestershire, Turbo Dave they call him, Dave Dunlop, but he builds turbo kits, you know, bespoke turbo kits, and gradually, you know, we built this turbo kit, bolted it on, and the bike ended up as it is. And but no, I don't own it anymore. I sold that around about 2016, I think it was, because just around about 2012 my youngest daughter also started motorcycle drag racing. So you know, it got to the point where I was sort of not so much getting bored, but you know, I was losing interest to a certain extent, but I wanted to sort of push her. So you know, so we decided to just plough the money into her bikes, etc., and that one got sold. I mean, it still exists. It doesn't look anything like that anymore, but it still exists as a turbo Suzuki. So sorry, that was a very long answer to a very short question. Back to you.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's really good. Yeah, I've had a few bikes, and yeah, I used to race up Centipod in my car. I had a Ford Capri. It was 750 brake horsepower. It was all tubbed out by someone called Jeff Hauser. Yeah, a 12 gearbox in that, nitrous, 225 nitrous kit on there, and yeah, it was good. Yeah, we used to run 10 seconds. So, yeah, no, it's cool, excellent. But my fast bikes, I've got rid of, because all these people around me are sort of, having accidents and dying. So I sort of got rid of my bike, and I had a big hole in the garage. So now I've got a Yamaha Warrior 1700. It looks like a Harley, but I've had that for ages. I had to take it out when it's dry. And to be honest, I haven't used it for quite a while now. It's just stayed in the garage. So hopefully when the sun comes out, I'll give it a good old clean, and I'll be back out on it. Just doing some little bits going on the road. So yeah, no, that's cool. No, so yeah, over to you, mate, from G1HPD.
Yeah, G1HPD M0JCF. Oh, well, I'm really pleased you have also been a drag racer. At least there, I don't have to explain what it's all about. Sometimes you have to do that. Now, that bike, I mean, I'm a big bloke. I'm over 16 stone now, and I was around 15 and a half, 16 stone when I was racing. And I was managing 156 in 9.4 seconds. So it was an 8-second bike, without a shadow of a doubt. The bloke that bought it off me, I mean, he's been running 8s in it. And it was an 8-second bike. But the two things was one was my weight, which wasn't really a problem. But more of a problem was my starting technique, you know, my launching technique. I could never really get the 60 foot down below 1.8 seconds. And yeah, really, I mean, to be an 8-second bike, you needed to knock a couple of tenths off of the 60 foot time, and it would have well been in the 8.8, something like that. But I was happy, you know. I worked my way to a 9.4, as I say, at 156, which ain't bad going, you know, for a motorcycle that came on the market in 1990. and admittedly it wasn't the same motorcycle anymore, but you know, I've had a go. But you know, sort of, but towards the end of it, I was sort of getting bored, and I was spending more time with Charlotte's bikes and some friends of ours. One of them, Martin 2E0 ERY. He's a very, very good fabricator. He was building the chassis, and he was building like metalwork, like aluminium body work, and all sorts, you know. So I was sort of piling, you know, the time and effort really into her bike. But you know, she got past 16. She had to come out a junior drag bike, and I had to go into adult bike. So we started building the adult bike with a Bandit 600 engine in it, because she had a GS 500E engine in it. But she sort of lost interest, so the bike sat there stagnant for a few years. And I kept saying, I'm just going to turn it into a sprinter for me, for fun. But of course, North Weald Airfield as a drag strip got closed down due to noise problems. So, you know, like my local sprinting track, as it were, sort of vanished. Then the pandemic come along, and I just thought to myself, every time I went in the garage, I took a chunk out of my shin or something like that. So during the pandemic, 2020, 2021, I sold it as a project, you know, an ongoing sprinter project, and it all went. I sort of semi regret doing that. It's you know, would have been nice to have had it, you know, just to look at, just to play with. You know how it is. But no, as for riding on the road, you know, I've given that up now. To be honest with you, I lost my family jewels. To not use a nasty phrase, you know, I lost it. I had a big get off in 2004 on the road, and I broke 2 ribs and my collarbone. At that time, you know, the kids were really quite young, and what I didn't want was the next phone call being to my wife, you know, could you come and identify the body? So you know, that sort of put me off. You know, I lost the balls for it. For riding on the road anymore. I think if I needed to commute, I possibly would. But you know, the bike that you've got now for your fair weather riding and that, I wouldn't like to, because it's, you know, the other idiots on the road, they're gonna sort of have you off, they're gonna ruin a lovely piece of machinery and all the rest. Yeah, I just don't want the aggro with it, and you know, I just, you know, it's you know, and I suppose part of it as well is, you know, the hooning around, you know, the hooliganism and everything is that's all gone out of me now. I'm in my 60s now, so that's all gone. So you know, I suppose if needs must, I probably would ride on the road again, but I don't have to anymore. So you know, I sort of given it up. And as I say, for the competition side of it, yeah, you know, been there, done it, wrote the book, got the t-shirt and all the rest of it in various disciplines. As you probably know, I live quite close to Brands Hatch, you know, and back in the 80s I raced both production and open class on a 250LC and a TZ 250. So you know, I sort of done it. Before that as well, I had to go on Speedway. I had a 500 Jawa, you know, 500cc methanol burner Speedway bike, and you know, that's all like, yeah, I'm pleased I've done it. So over to you there, G1HPD M0 JCF.
Yeah, okay, Mark, yeah, very good, yeah, brother all go at Speedway. I used to be a mechanic for a Speedway rider, but he got involved in a slight accident, so another rider fell off in front. He laid his bike down, and the other person behind went straight into the back of his neck and broke his neck, so he's in a wheelchair. So yeah, I know the Jawas. God, I've built quite a few of those engines. Yeah, my friend used to race for Eastbourne Eagles. Yeah, that's good. That's a few years ago. Yeah, all good fun, mate. All good fun. But yeah, you're definitely right. When you get there, you just say, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there, done it, survived, and carried on. Yeah, the speed in that is boring now, isn't it? And people ask me, oh yeah, what's your favourite car? And I said, I haven't really got one. I've worked and driven lots of different cars, and yeah, I haven't got one really. Yeah. Oh, I better get the phone. Stand by a minute.
Yeah, no problem. M0JCF holding the frequency open. In fact, I will call out QRZ if anyone else would like to join in, getting company with G1HPD and myself, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot.
Hey mate, I'm very quick one. I've got to go to QRT. It's about to rain down here and I've just cleaned the carpet and it's in the garage. So I'll go down and hopefully I'll come back. But if not, I'll catch you another time, mate.
Yeah, another time, mate. Go and do what you got to do. We've just had hailstorms here, so it's probably moved south to you. All the very best. Take care and 73.
Thanks, mate. We'll catch up soon. All the best. Bye-bye.
Yeah, QRZ, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, Sid Cup Kent.
Golf 0, Sierra Delta Delta.
Yeah, Golf 0 Sierra Delta Delta. Very good afternoon to you, old man. The name this side is Mark Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, and I'm in Sid Cup in Kent. I'll give you your report and technical details and all that old jargon on the next over. So back to you, G0SDD M0JCF.
I'm not sure they got the call correct. I got Mark 0 Juliet Charlie, either Sierra or Fox. Anyway, you'll put me right on the next over, Mark. Very good afternoon to you. I think this was not so bad because I've been changing a few things around with one of the transceivers, speakers and noise, well, it's a noise filter, noise reduction and filter, which I've an external one which I've attached to the Kenwood TS450, and I'm running 50 watts, by the way, Mark. My name is Chris. I'm located 3 miles from Lydney in the county of Gloucestershire, where the sun's still shining, so great stuff. Back to you, Mark 0 Juliet Charlie G0 Sierra Delta Delta.
Yeah, Golf 0 Sierra Delta Delta. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, or Florida, or Flanders, or any other F you can think of. But yeah, well, thanks for calling in, Chris. And your 50 watts is doing rather well. It's given me 5 and 9 plus. Bit of QSB actually on the signal, dropping you down to about a 5 and 7. But your modulation, now your modulation's very clear. I've just been altering the IF shift and width. I had it set for 10 meters the way I like it, and you was a little bit on the muffled side, so I've wound it back a bit, and you came up nice and clear and sharp, very trebly. There's absolutely, well, I would say for my ears, no bass whatsoever in it, so you know it sounds good. And I tell you what, it sounds very good for maybe DX working, etc. You know, it's not a ground wave modulation by far. It's not a close modulation. It's great for ionosphere working. It's say very nice, very clear, very crisp, and quite trebly. But yeah, you're 5 and 9 plus on the peaks, and say dropping to about 5 and 7. But the radio I'm using this side, which is going to be a factor as well, is I'm using an old Yaesu Fox Tango 757 Golf X-Ray. So it's it's over 40 years old, and it comes with all of the foibles you get with those older radios. So obviously the sound, and of course it's subjective as well. It's my ears, and my ears, I'm lucky if I can hear anything over 7 kilohertz anyway, so I wouldn't get it too trebly if I were you. So that's the story. The power this side about 75 watts, so that makes sense. You're using 50 watts if we're going to be very similar. But I find 40 meters, it doesn't really matter whether anyone's using 10 watts, 50 watts, 100 watts or 500 watts. They all seem to be about the same. It really does come down to, I find, inter G on 40 meters down to antennas, and I'm just using a random 90-foot wire. So it's a long wire with a 9-to-1 I'm not even convinced that the 9-to-1 was the correct match, but it's an inverted U. So there you go. That's a long rambling over for for you there to chew over, Chris. And Gloucestershire, I was going to ask if you was West Country as well, because you've definitely got the accent for the West Country, and I was trying to work out, is he Wiltshire, is he Somerset, etc. But you've given me the answer. G0SDD M0JCF.
Charlie Fox, G0 Philadelphia, fine there, Mark. Yeah, nice steady signal, 5 plus steady signal right the way through. And I was just adjusting my noise unit here. It's one I've had quite a long time, and it's not necessary for me to use it with the Nikon 7300. So I incorporated with the Kenwood TS450, which is a little bit noisier on the receive. It does work very, very well. So I'm using external speakers with it. All right. Yeah, fine on everything there. And well, I'm using the antenna is a Zulu Sierra 6 Bravo Kilo Whiskey, which you might or might not be familiar with, the modified G5RV, and it's an inverted V. It's up about 30 foot. It works very, very well. I've featured had it quite a few years, and always get out pretty well on it. Their mark. Yeah, strangely enough, I was stationed only on 40 meters. Traffic post, I went down to 1 watt. Now I was using the CQ40m which I've got on this antenna, and we both went down to 1 watt, and it was perfectly readable. And the conditions weren't particularly good. There was a lot of QSB about, but we worked. QR Mexico free, QRM free, and I think I got a 5 and 5, something like that, report. Anyway, likewise the other station. So yeah, it can be done under the right conditions, and I rarely use more than 90 watts. Generally on 50. I use a lot of QRPing because I use the G90 on CW a lot. So yes, you can get away with low power. Not always. If the noise floor is high, it's difficult. Then you need that extra power. But the G1 does 20 watts, so it's a get out of jail power really. Okay, won't hold it too long with you. I said just testing things out. All looks good to me. Looking at the meter, etc. And sounds good from yourself, Mark. M0JCF G0SDD.
Yeah, G0SDD M0JCF, no problem. You probably see, if you was to look at my QRZ page, you can see old radios is what I like to use. I do have modern radios. Particularly, I've got an IC 7300, which obviously, is a completely different beast from everything else I've got in the shack. And in fact, this FT-757GX is a completely different beast from everything else further still. I've got a big stack of Yaesus and KWs and Swan, all those old valve radios and that from the 1960s. I do like my old gear. I do like the rubbish that no one wants. I do like to play about with it. I just bought, actually, at the weekend, I bought yet another TS700 2-meter multi-mode. I'm sure you know it, from days gone past. But yeah, I do like the old gear, and I find that, the old gear, once you learn how to drive it, for the want of a better word, you can get some amazing performance out of it. Now, this 757, I can't alter the power, with a power control per se. What I can do is wind back the SSB modulation with the mic control, and I can see if I can get my power down to about 10 watts, and just see if you can give me a report at 10 watts. Do you want to try that? Back to you.
Yeah, go ahead. No problem at all, there, Mark.
Yeah, just stand by. Let me just have to talk away. And wah, 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 wah. Right, we should now be around about, we should just be about 10 watts. If I don't alter my voice too much, I'm peaking 10 watts, Chris. How do you copy? G0SDD M0JCF with 10 watts.
Yeah, that's clear audio from G0SDD. Just a little bit of white noise, coming up alongside, which it does. And it's no problem at all. Now I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to drop mine back now there, Mark. I have to adjust this down to the, what says 10 watts on. Let's see. Right. Well, that looks to be about 10 watts there. I can't really judge it on the TS450 there, but that's about 10 watts there, Mark.
Yeah, pretty solid 5 and 8 with 10 watts. I wound mine back up now just so that we didn't struggle between us if there was going to be a bit of QSB. But yeah, absolutely fine. You was 5 and 8 modulation exactly the same. The microphone I'm using actually is a Handmaster 4200 from the 1970s. You know, it's an old desk microphone, highly favoured by the CBers of the 70s and the 80s in AM and SSB. A lovely powered microphone. I've never had a bad report off one, and I don't tend to get bad reports off this. I only wired it up a few months ago. I've held on to it for years, but as I say, I've got the mic gain turned right down on that. So yeah, any mic noise you was hearing was probably coming from this old thing. But yeah, as I say, I wound the modulation back up on the radio. So yeah, to answer the question, is we both worked each other, absolutely no problems on 10 watts. But as I say, I find that with 40 meters, and probably because we're both using quite low antennas, we've got great NVIS takeoffs, and of course with the distance between us, probably a lot of our signals going up and coming almost straight back down. That's probably why we're giving each other such good signals on lower power, back up to higher power again. G0SDD M0JCF.
JCF G0SDD, yeah, okay, yeah, Mark, yeah, no, I'm not sure really safety, I don't think I asked you actually. But have you got a minute? I'll swap over transceivers and I'll just do an experiment with you, Mark.
Yeah, no problems whatsoever. I'm in Sidcup in Kent, so I'm about 15 miles southeast of the centre of London, just on the suburbs of Greater London. I say Sidcup in Kent. And before you ask, yes, G6INU, Doug, I do know of him and I've spoke to him many, many times. Back to you. Okay, G0SDD, swapping transceivers. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot in Sidcup in Kent, listening for you. G0SDD M0JCF. Have you got it swapped yet there, Chris? A G0SDD M0JCF listening. Yeah, a little bit quieter this time now. You're 5 and 6, just above my noise floor today, Chris. Back to you.
Okay, right. JCF G0SDD. Yeah, I'll go up to the 7300, and I'm 25 watts at the moment. Now, what I wanted to do, and I don't think it would work, because I think your noise floor is too high at the moment there, but I did have one station earlier. On the 7300, you might be aware that the power goes under percentages, which is the same as the 100. It goes down to 0. Now, what was apparently 1 watt on there, got a good report. And I went down to 0, and I still got a report back there. So whether it it's still doing 1 watt or whether it's milliwatt. I don't know, but I'm going to drop it down little by little there, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, I do know the radio because I do own an IC7300 myself, Chris. So I do know how it works. I do believe at zero it's something like 600 milliwatts. I do believe 600 milliwatts is the 0% setting. So I could be wrong on that, but that sounds familiar. I think I've had this conversation with someone before without putting an external power meter on. But you are peaking 5 and 9. There's just a little bit of QSB, I think, Chris. So you was 5 and 7 to 5 and 9 on that last over with 25 watts. Tell you what, take it down to 5 watts first, which is about 3%, and we'll go from there. Back to you. Okay, at 3%, you're just nudging 5 and 6. You are nudging 5 and 6. So at 3%, you're very, very close to 5 watts, or maybe actually that's less. No, that's less. At 3%, that's probably closer to 1 watt. Back to you. Okay, G0SDD M0JCF, yeah, whatever setting you've just put that on, you are barely readable. You were about a 3 and 5, a 3 and 5, as I say. My noise floor is between 5 and 6. You was about a 3 and 5, but I would say that if I didn't have that noise floor, you'd easily be a 5 and 5. Back to you. Okay, at 1%, you are nudging 5 and 6. So there's a little bit of QSB on the signal, and so you're probably just over 1 watt or thereabouts. I'm trying to remember which way round it was. I do believe that 1%. Then you're probably as near as, damn it, to 1 watt. Back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fine. Happy with that. Anyway, I'm back on 50%, 50 watts, whatever it is. Anyway, I usually say 50 watts. Yeah, fine. Yeah, good experiment. I've done it before, but under different conditions. And, this works under, more difficult conditions, all the better. But, yeah, it's fine. I like the 7300. I've had that since they first came out. For several years, and the CS450, well, that's about, well, I bought it about 6 years ago, so I've had it since then, when I was first licensed, Mark. And as I say, I've got the G1HPD, which I used on QRPing with the so that's a 320, but I don't want any more than that because I've had too many. I've got rid of another stuff. In fact, a couple of years ago I went to a rally and got everything I didn't use, and I haven't missed it, so I did get rid of the right stuff, at least. And it's given me a lot more room, and there's a lot more room to manoeuvre. Shack's very small. I use a little battery, 12.8 volt battery on the G1HPD, and I've also got a portable setup for a couple actually, which I'm going to try and use again this summer when the days get warmer. Not quite warm enough for me now. Martin, I used to spend my time outside, but now I'm a little bit nesh at my 81 years old. Back to you.
Yeah, 81 years young. You got to correct yourself there. 81 years young. Well, it sounds like you've got a great setup. You got some very fine radios there. The 450D is so popular. I remember, well, I only got licensed in 2017. Sorry, I actually failed the RAE in 1978. There you go. And that's one of the reasons I ended up on AMCB and SSBCB in the late 70s. is because I failed the RAE in 1978. I was a stroppy teenager, so I thought I'd go against the system and do the naughty thing. But there you go, that's all in the past. But I say I got my M6 2017. 5 months later, I got the 2E0, and then a year after that, I got my full license. And of course, yeah, with the background that I had as well, you know, my working life, it all came very easy and naturally. But there you go, that's the story. I've just noticed the clock, it's 10 to 6, and I'm meant to be starting dinner at 6 o'clock this evening, so I better go QRT. But one thing to note, Chris, I've when I first came on this frequency, I'd just come off of 10 and 12 meters, and somebody had sent me a request, could I go on this frequency and give him some radio checks and that. And you might have heard him, you might have heard Tony before you. He say we had a bit of a chat. He was G1HPD. You may even know him or spoken to him in the past. But anyway, what I did was I was recording the session for him so that you know, he could hear what he sounds like, blah blah blah. And I've kept the recording going. Now I've got a YouTube channel. It used to be just for storage, basically. I used to make videos, you know, and almost like a video logbook. That's the words I wanted, a video logbook. So, but what happened is people started subscribing to it, and it become like a working channel where, you know, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on it now, and I've got 1,500 subscribers, you know, and these people want to see these videos. So anyway, what I'll do is I will put this video, if you don't mind, I'll be putting it on YouTube later. Primarily it was for Tony, but you'll be able to also see yourself how you sounded on both radios and on low power, etc., and you'll get a better look at what I've been telling you, I suppose. The YouTube channel, should you wish to go and look for it, is quite simple. It's just called M0JCF Ham Radio. That is the YouTube channel. As I say, I'll upload this in a short while, and yeah, you'll be able to go there sometime this evening or whenever you feel, if that's what you do, and you'll be able to subjectively find out, you know, what you sounded like on this particular radio, on my antenna, etc. It might give you a better idea as well of your audio settings if maybe you want to change them. As I say, once again, it's through a mobile phone recording. Generally the recordings are quite good, quite faithful, so it should give you an idea. So entirely up to you. As I say, it will be later anyway. So can I wish you very best 73 there, Chris. Lovely speaking to you. Glad to have worked you both ways on 10 watts. Glad to have received you roughly on 1 watt on 40 meters. That was very nice to play about with as well. It's always great fun. So I say, I wish you best 73. 81 years young. You're still, you know, you're still there. You're still giving it some, and you're still very enthusiastic, and that's what matters in these days. People have got to wake up in the morning, be enthusiastic for the day, and then go to bed in the evening completely content, and you sound like that's the type of chap you are. So all the best. It takes me forever to say goodbye, so I'll leave it over to you for a final there, Chris, and you take care and look forward to working you again. G0SDD, this is M0JCF, just listening one more time. Cheers, mate.
Charlie Fox, G0 Delta Delta, final, yes, okay. Well, it's a very interesting mark, thanks for that. Strangely enough, yesterday, by the way, I'm on 90 watts now. I do often alter my, when that type of alter, they do know me, that I do alter antennas and power levels at different times, just to see what the comeback, whether anybody notices or not. Anyway, yeah, fine, I'll have a look at that, because this I've been on a couple of these YouTube video recordings before, actually, some time ago. I went on one the other day. Didn't even know it was recorded, but it was Mike Zero. I think it's XMX. I think it is anyway, up in Derbyshire. They were both, two stations were doing G1HPD. They were both doing remote together, and it turned out to be, that they were introducing other stations as well. Anyway, I called in there and found that I was being recorded on YouTube, and I have no objection to that whatsoever, because it means that I can check things out that I'll probably forget about. Anyway, in half an hour's time, they're marked. Not seriously, memory's not that bad, but you know what I mean. Anyways, great to talk to you. Thanks very much. It's all it's all testing, isn't it? And we're forever testing out various things. I was speaking to a station earlier on who I speak to regularly, and he's always testing out different antennas. It's extremely interesting. They're so with that, it's just coming up to 6 now, so you can get there for your tea anyway. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I've got a very dry throat today. Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox G0 Sierra Delta Delta. Bye for now.
Yeah, G0SDD M0JCF, an absolute pleasure, Chris. And any time if you hear me or I hear you, I'll certainly play the game with you, and we'll alter power and alter antennas and alter radios and all the rest of it in between. And it's all about fun, isn't it? And if you can make the hobby fun and it's not just a mechanical thing that you do, then it becomes it becomes really self-absorbing. All right, mate, take care and bye-bye for now. Have a fantastic evening. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot Sidcup in Kent going QRT. This frequency is clear for use. This frequency is clear for use.
Yeah, by the way, I have worked out many times
Yeah, cheers, mate. Bye-bye for now. Frequency clear.